Hello and welcome to Queer News Tonight. I'm John Hayden. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news, broadcasting live and then available on demand on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It is Thursday, May 18th, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm SFGN senior reporter John Hayden. Al Ferguson has the night off. This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbian, trans, students, youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS healthcare, business, political advocacy, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 38 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
Well, it is Thursday evening, which means it's weekend eve, and we've got a weekend party panel with us tonight, so let's get to know them a little bit. And first, we'll welcome anchor Chef Josie. She is a Bravo TV top chef and the master of the popular champagne and oyster celebration restaurant Bubbles and Pearls, located in the heart of our famous Wilton Drive. She is also known by her alter ego, DJ Lady Snack Daddy, and is a certified tickle monster. Ask me how I know.
Well, thank you guys. You know, listen, I want to just give a shout out tonight to my homegirl. She's a contemporary artist, Leora Redmond, LGBTQ+. Go right now. She has an exhibit happening in downtown Miami. If you just see what I'm wearing tonight, I own my power. It's art that is riveting and also passionate and bold, and it is queer driven, and you should go see it. I just saw one of her last exhibits and it is amazing. But I don't want to, ruin it for you. Go check it out. Next, I would love, as always, to welcome my very good friend and the sexiest bear I know, Jonathan Casañas, a board member of Forward Miami, an organization working to unite South Florida's diverse communities. He is also one of the producers of Gay 8 or Gay Ocho Festival, the largest Latin diversity and inclusion festival in the nation. You can catch him on the road touring the country, hosting bear events like Mega Wolf and Macho Party. Good evening, Poppy.
Good evening, Steph. Oh my God, you remembered my name.
Yeah.
You also read it off a teleprompter.
Yeah.
But fun.
It's my brother's name, bro. Okay.
I'm just kidding. I love you. Thank you for that introduction.
Yeah.
Next, let's welcome anchor Wesley Smoot. Wesley is a proud bisexual man and founder of the conference/festival Unleashed LGBTQ. He has worked in marketing and event production for 15 plus years. He is a published author, television personality, and LGBTQ plus advocate. Wesley has interviewed many prominent LGBTQ plus figures and is working to bring many of these names together to share ideas for his event Unleashed LGBTQ 2023 in Dallas, Texas. Welcome, Wesley.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the kind words, Jonathan. And we hope to see everybody in Dallas, Texas, September 22nd through the 24th at Gillies Dallas. Unleashed LGBTQ. We're creating an excellent environment for people to share ideas with our platform. people can promote new books, movies, series, film. We have some huge names coming, everyone from Billy Eichner, India Moore, Anthony Porowski will be doing a live cooking demonstration. Love him from Netflix's Queer Eye. But it's great educational opportunities, entertainment, networking, and we hope to see you all there.
And real quick, usually we're thrilled to get somebody who manages to drive down from Palm Beach County or drive up from Miami-Dade County. You're all the way in from Dallas today.
That's correct.
And you brought an entourage with us. Thank you for our live studio audience. We appreciate you. But what brings you here, and how'd you end up on Queer News Tonight?
You know, we came here to hang out at the resorts, naked by the pool. For the most part. But yeah,
to the right place.
We're at Pineapple Point, and we just wanted to have a really good time. I got in touch with one of the producers as far as media partnerships, and they mentioned the opportunity. It sounded amazing, and you know, I've been learning from one of my mentors. You know, you get asked to do something you might not have done before or might feel uncomfortable with. Jump on it. Just do it, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you all for welcoming me here.
Absolutely. Welcome. And of course, if you want to see him or his cohorts naked, they will be at Pineapple Point all weekend.
Oh, that's what's going on here.
Thank you very much. Well, let's welcome anchor Bob Hentschel. Bob is an accountant with the local construction company. He is a member of the planning committee for My Hollywood Pride and a member of various LGBTQ+ Disney Facebook groups, including Gay Pride Disney Monorail Crawl. He describes himself as a nice widow man with a house in Dania Beach, a Disney Vacation Club membership, and a self-supporting cash flow. Interested singles can find him on Facebook and Twitter as Bob Hentschel. Welcome, Bob.
Can also find you on Grindr as Bobby Hentschel.
I was going to skip to that, but
I am not on the Grindr. Truth. I am not on the Grindr.
He's on the grind.
Anyway, welcome to you.
It says you're 8 feet away.
It has me confused with somebody infinitely more important. Anyway, two quick things. The United Church of Christ in Fort Lauderdale presents From Broadway with Love, a concert benefiting the Reverend Patrick Rogers Memorial Arts Fund on Saturday, May 20th at 7 p.m. My roommate Cheryl Barth is the musical director. General admission and VIP tickets are available for purchase on Eventbrite. Just look up From Broadway with Love in Fort Lauderdale. Tickets can also be purchased at the door. And of course, what I have been plugging forever and ever, I'm sure y'all are sick of hearing it, but the 8th annual Gay Days Monorail Crawl is Wednesday, May 31st.
Love that.
Wednesday, May 31st, starting at 7 p.m. at the Outer Rim Lounge at Disney's Contemporary Resort. We loop the monorail, ending at the Enchanted Rose at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort. And be sure to join us at Cinderella Castle for the now traditional photo, Saturday, June 3rd at 5 p.m. Right. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the Queer News for today, Thursday, May 18th, 2023.
Well, we begin by queering up sports. Dodgers canceled plans to honor Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence during Pride celebrations.
The Los Angeles Dodgers disinvited the group from being honored at the team's Pride Night ceremony in June, claiming the group has been the source of some controversy.
People are reacting with hate, and it's just unfortunately very typical of the climate that we see today.
The religious advocacy group Catholic Vote first expressed concerns about the sisters being honored late last week. They say the group mocks real nuns. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence originated in San Francisco in the late 70s. They are known for doing charitable work throughout the city.
We literally saved lives, and our mission has always been to raise money for those who need it. We minister to the sick, we feed the hungry, we support queer arts, LGBTQ, trans youth.
The LA Dodgers announced yesterday that it was uninviting the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence from its Pride Night celebrations at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. The team tweeted Wednesday afternoon that inviting the LGBTQ+ group has caused some controversy. As a result, the Dodgers decided to remove the sisters from this year's group of honorees. One of the people upset with the inclusion of the charity group is Florida Senator Marco Rubio. He has also written an open letter to the Commissioner of Baseball, Rob Manfred, saying the loathsome sisters are to blame. Rob has also written a Twitter post saying the group's motto is to sin by imitating Roman Catholic nuns. A post said that disgraceful imitation of Roman Catholic nuns by drag queen performers should not be celebrated. Sister Roma from San Francisco chapter of the Sisters tweeted she's disappointed in the team's decision. The Sisters is a group of gay men in nun drag preaching about the benefits of living authentic lives. The group has evolved into a unique mixture of federally recognized nonprofit, protest group, and street performance troupe. It has missions around the world. California State Senator Scott Wiener also took to Twitter to condemn the Dodgers' decision, saying, quote, "We expect more from our sports teams, even the Dodgers," end quote. And boy, isn't that just the way now? This is bigger than the one event at Dodger Stadium, which is a loss because that stadium is iconic. The world knows it when you look at it. It is central to Southern California life. And so to be uninvited is a slap in the face. For Marco Rubio to use his platform for something this petty, and he said debating marriage equality on the floor of the Senate was a waste of time and unnecessary. Yet he uses his time and resources to rail on us against the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, which is an amazing group. It's also key to remember here in Florida, it only takes one parent in some school districts to complain about any book, and that complaint will be investigated and reviewed. So it's really the small minority in America has the largest microphone right now, and this is the most.
I mean, they only have the largest microphone if we allow them to have the largest microphone. And you know, there's so much to unpack in this story. I mean, oh my God, from the Dodgers and the thing and the historic, and you touched on so many of them. But the reality of it is this, okay? Like, we are under attack. We already know that. But how are we going to come back on the offensive? And I don't want to talk about the attack anymore. Honestly, I appreciate everybody's eye on the attack. But how do we create the offense now and the response to the attack? And, you know, listen, I met Sister Roma out in San Francisco, and man, people don't understand art, but I'm not even going to unpack that right now. There's so much to unpack in every little...
I'm going to add to what needs to unpack. Somewhere, I read the story and something went off in the back of my head, so I did a little bit of a Google lookup. And when I saw what I saw, it's like, okay, I really shouldn't be surprised that, because the Dodgers have a history of homophobia. And you need to go back to one of their well-known managers, Tommy Lasorda, who never mentioned the word AIDS, despite the fact that he had a gay son who died from AIDS, still never said a word.
Thank you.
We won't get into his assault on the Philly Fanatic as a nice Philly boy that I am, because it's a side issue. But I kind of am not, after seeing this, it's like they have a history of homophobia. It goes back a long time. We need to start there.
Well, do we need to start there, or do we, again, come into the present moment, the present day, the present offense on our community, and then create the strategic response to how we're going to come back from this? Like, are we just going to sit here and keep taking the lashes?
Well,
I mean,
Chef,
I'm into BDSM too, but like, really, you know?
Chef, you're like me. Like, you want to fight. We want to fight now, but like, we want to physically harm someone at this point because it's getting too much. I think the way that you combat this is by letting people know who the sisters are and what they do for the community. They're going after someone who's probably more of an activist than any other group that we know in the LGBT community to this day, other than the large groups like Florida Equality or Save Group and all these types of groups, nonprofits that are actually creating places to make money to give back to the community. This is what these sisters do. Sure, they dress up as nuns, but they also act like nuns, and they're probably the most activist group in the community. Why aren't they saying that? You know what I mean? Like, sure, they dress up like nuns, but they probably act like Mother Teresa as well.
And Let's be honest. Like, what is Marco Rubio getting into this conversation for? That's not even his state. Like, why don't you handle the business that you have here in Florida?
Because it's his flair to shoot up. Please, Ron DeSantis, please like me.
Make me your VP.
Yeah.
Make me your VP.
It gives them some screen time, which they obviously want, trying to be as relevant as possible. And to state the obvious, I mean, the Roman Catholic Church doesn't have the best reputation in most people's eyes anyway,
Recovering Catholic.
Yeah.
So if the sisters had never been invited, this wouldn't even be an issue. And the case could be made that they're still having Pride Night. They're still, recognizing and celebrating the gay community. But with this disinvitation, I'd like to know what you all think. Does this make Pride Night at Dodger Stadium seem like tokenism at this point?
I think we need to look at a larger issue, and that is they want to erase drag and trans people. And it was well documented that the Stonewall Rebellion in 1969 was started by trans people and drag queens. And I have heard gay people specifically try to deny that. And I think this is just, until we own our history, and, I think on some level, we sort of need to clean up our own backyard a little bit, because there are people who are keeping quiet, and I don't think they understand how much danger we are in.
So that brings me back to my question: should they still have Pride Night?
Well,
or is
you
it
want
tokenism
to boycott that Pride event at the Dodger Stadium, is what you're saying?
No, I'm asking a question.
Yeah.
Does their disinvitation change the entire tenor and meaning of the night?
Well, we knew it was a way for them to make money and to them to reach out to a new demographic and to seem like they're not homophobic, to the mass community, right? Obviously, by this disinvitation, they're just letting them know that they've given up and they're no longer a part of the community at large. So why should we be a part of something like that? Why should the gays and lesbians go to an event where drag queens and trans are not invited?
I love it. I love it because, when we accept the T as the LGBTQ plus community, in which we talk about this often, right, is how our own community doesn't even accept and support and receive the T in our own acronym, right? Like this is exactly a solution. This is what I'm talking about. How do we respond? And maybe that response says, hey, taking in everything you've said about the history, the history of discrimination and the history of homophobia and all of that fun stuff, then bringing in this, like, guys, let's put our money where our mouth is and stop giving money to the people who are putting money against us and having this legislation being actually activated in this country, guys. That's what we have to understand, is that money has power. And where we put our money, we are backing those candidates, those organizations, those businesses who are actually putting money, investing into funding these politicians who are creating those bills that we're all screaming about.
And I think it's just more important now than ever for us to, whether it is a queer festival, a restaurant, a news media outlet, anything, that we're doing. It's just, we need to have our own things and not rely on, can we be included by whomever wants us to be their token for the evening. It's more important now, like I said, than ever for us to establish ourselves and have our own businesses. Because, if we do end up boycotting them and we lose our voice in that sense, we just need to have our own platforms.
Our own doctors.
Absolutely. Dodger dogs are nice, but it's going to be a hard pass on this Pride.
It's a hard pass. All right, next, let's queer up politics, shall we? Democratic Texas Rep. Shawn Thierry censured after she voted against LGBTQ plus rights.
Teenagers rely more on another part of the brain. The portion of the brain that unduly influences their emotions, impulses, aggression, and instinctive behavior. Certainly children as young as 8, 9, or 10 are completely incapable of understanding that these medical treatments may require that they remain patients for the rest of their lives. For example, what are the long-term effects of administering the chemotherapy prostate cancer drug and chemical castration drug known as Lupron to a child who is otherwise physically healthy but is experiencing gender dysphoria.
On May 12th, Shawn Thierry broke ranks from other Democratic lawmakers in the state House of Representatives by voting in favor of SB 14, a bill that seeks to restrict health care for trans youth by banning puberty blockers and hormone therapy until the age of 18. After voting in favor of SB 14, Thierry released a 2-page statement saying she has been, quote, assured that this position is rooted in sound policy which supports the health, development, and overall well-being of minors. She also said she wanted an age restriction of 18 to be codified into law for gender-affirming surgeries, despite this already being a medical practice. In response to her votes, the Maryland Area Democrats Club voted to censure Thierry on May 15th. The motion to censure Thierry was brought by club member Lisa Stanton, who has a trans daughter. In April, Thierry also voted in favor of HB 900, which regulates library materials sold to or included in public school libraries. If enacted, HB 900 would allow the agency to label the books that are being sold to schools as sexually relevant or sexually explicit material. The bill, dubbed the Book Burning Act, has been heavily criticized as LGBTQ plus groups warn it could amount to outright censorship of LGBTQ plus themes, characters, and content. Now, normally, this story kind of burns my panties because, you know, you feel like, okay, sure, you know, you're a Democrat. Sometimes, you know, you vote against maybe your Democratic agenda or what doesn't appeal to your Democratic, audience. But you do it twice now, and you do it in a way where now you're like kind of muting us, muting our children, muting our brothers and sisters, stopping from our trans youth to possibly, and I don't think the majority of people know, the reason these puberty blockers are there is because a lot of these trans women don't get to live their life truthfully because they transition after puberty. So in essence, you are now a bit more, for lack of a better term, you have masculine features, or you have hair in places women probably wouldn't have. But by having these blockers, you're allowing yourself an opportunity to seem a bit more feminine, or to maybe not have such a structured jawline, so that you're not clockable in the real world. Right? So not only does she vote against that, but now she's voting against book and content that are LGBTQ focused, but maybe not sexually explicit. But now you're voting against our, not agenda, but you're voting against our youth and our broader LGBTQ plus community. And that's what seems a little sus to me.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that seem sus here, you know what I mean? But the real thing, I mean, and maybe it's not the real thing, but it's just another perspective. And you guys are going to be right now probably slicing my hat up. And I'm like, but listen, this is, I think, because I speak to a lot of my friends who are LGBT, okay? And a lot of my own brothers and sisters and non-binary family, okay, they come to me and they're like, yeah, like, what about these hormone blockers until you're 18? I mean, we're telling each other that we have to, like, drink at 21. We have to make these, like, big decisions by, like, you're not even considered an adult by the time you're 18. Mm-hmm. What if you're in therapy for all those years, And I hear it. I have friends who have transgender children. Like, I trust me, I understand this, but it's very difficult to, like, think about, in the grand scheme, the big picture, how we're going to be able to bring everybody on board. Like, the Republicans and everyone, they can stomach 18 because they have already stomached 18 on so many different issues. Mm-hmm. They can stomach 18 on puberty blockers and all of these other things. Why are we pushing to, like, be okay with this puberty blockers and gender affirming operations before the age of 18?
Well, first off, there's no gender affirming operations going on to kids under 18. Nobody should have those types of corrective surgeries, whether it be breast augmentation, vanity, nose jobs, or something like that. That shouldn't happen until you're 18 anyway, because your body's not fully formed. But puberty blockers are reversible. It blocks hormones. If the kid decides they get to be 16 or 21 or 25, they can come off those blockers, and it's going to essentially be, after they run through your system, no harm, no foul.
Exactly.
But the alternative is that we're forcing kids, and let's face it, adolescence is hell, no matter whether you're straight, gay, bi, whatever. Adolescence is hell, and now you're doing it in a body that doesn't feel right. A lot of straight kids don't feel right in their bodies because you're growing and changing and everything. And if this makes it easier for them, I'm all on favor of, because the representative here, who calls herself a Democrat, but let's be honest.
Right.
I know.
She says 6, 7, 8-year-olds aren't able to make this decision. And you're absolutely right. But you know who is? 6, 7, 8-year-olds, their parents, and their doctors. You know who's not on that list? Legislators, governors. You're not doctors. Stop playing them in Austin. Stop playing them in Tallahassee. Stop playing them in Nashville. Let doctors and patients do doctor and patient things together.
Well, I'm going to be devil's advocate right here, because there's a lot of times, right, when we say that even parents don't have the best decisions for their children, right? So I think that what is happening here is, on a social level, we're all saying, look, we support T, we support transgender, we support in our LGBTQ community. However, when you're talking about broad America, they don't even get T at all. So what is it going to be? Like, where is the compromise for us? Like, where is it that we meet them in the middle? And is there a middle? I mean, I think
it's difficult because what we're experiencing is these conversations being, had in the mainstream media, and now everybody has an opinion, and to think that half of the 3rd grade class is going to go change their gender, this is based on a case-by-case thing with, the parents and the doctors, like you mentioned, and, it's becoming, very ridiculous and obvious, to your point, with the attack on the, transgender community. There was eventually it'll get past the 18 point, and it's just, this should be made illegal completely. But, I think that's a good way for them to segue in, saying that the children are being attacked. And I think it's all just very foolish.
Yeah. Well, it's also not like willy-nilly. Like, there's a process you have to go through. Sure. My cousin is a licensed mental health counselor, and there's a huge process, and there's therapy that has to go on, not only with the child, but with the parents as well. Like, the family at large needs to be comfortable with this process and needs to understand what it takes to feel whole and to feel ready to make that transition.
And one last thought, Josie, to the question that you posed. Where can we meet in the middle? Where can we be halfway? And I say my opinion, we don't meet in the middle. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, people could have said, you know what, civil unions are good enough. But we didn't stand for that. We pushed on, and we eventually got full marriage equality. And we need to stand up for our teens, our trans, and especially our trans youth, because they're being attacked. They're being attacked twice in this story, with the books being censored or labeled, and our trans youth. My God, if we abandon the T, if we abandon the drag queens at this moment, we are next. Don't believe for a second that we're not.
Yep. Never did I ever say to abandon the.
No, I know you're not.
Or the
I know you did not.
Just want to
you
make
absolutely
sure
did
that
not.
my
You did not.
sisters
Yes.
and brothers out there know that. Okay,
Absolutely.
so next, let's queer up trans rights. Pop star Kim Petras becomes second trans woman on the cover of Sports Illustrated Swimsuit edition.
What's up? I'm Kim Petras, and I'm shooting for Sports Illustrated Swimsuit. Woo-ah! Oh my God, winning a Grammy was so unexpected, so just kind of insane life moment. I don't think anything could have prepared me, and I don't think I'll ever really have that feeling again. It was completely incredible. I'm so grateful to Sam for wanting me to give a speech and kind of pushing me to do it, because I was so scared, and I was like, Sam was like, if we win, I want you to do it, because kind of historical moment. It feels so exciting to be here for Sports Illustrated. It's very iconic, and a lot of very iconic people have done it before. So big a dream come true for me. Working with MJ has been incredible. She's been so helpful and just always such good notes. The Yutsai has been incredible, such an eye. I hope people take away from this that I look really hot and cunty.
Pop musician Kim Petras is one of the 4 cover models for Sports Illustrated swimsuit editions, making her the second openly transgender model to appear on the cover. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, Petras explains that she felt pressure to represent the trans community due to the climate the U.S. is currently in when it comes to the trans issue. She said she was excited to get the call from SI to appear in the magazine swimsuit edition, calling it a big dream come true. This is the second time an openly transgender model has appeared on the cover of SI's annual swimsuit edition, following model and actress Lena Bloom, who appeared in the magazine's 2021 swimsuit edition. It has been a big year for Petras. The 30-year-old singer recently became the first openly transgender woman to win a Grammy Award earlier this year in the Best Pop Duo Group Performance category for her and fellow singer Sam Smith's performance in Unholy. Talking to magazines about the transgender issue, Kim said, "It is a scary time to be a transgender in the USA." She expressed her excitement about getting good opportunities and how happy she feels to be able to inspire other trans people to achieve their dreams. Okay, so again, you guys are going to probably cut my throat right now. You know, I'm really happy to see her, that she was acknowledged and taking this moment on the cover of, Swimsuit Illustrated, and awesome, fantastic. Obviously, that very controversial song and that performance during the AMAs with Sam Smith caused a lot of grief for a lot of people. And honestly, for my own taste, it was like, okay, guys, we do that in our New York City, underground parties, and we do that in our off Broadway studios, and okay, let's do it on AMA, and you wonder why they pegged you as a devil worshiper. I don't know, you know what I mean? But anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. That's your own artistic, your brand, your artistic, really expression and choice. Okay, I'm just happy that in this moment in the world where we're at, where trans people are being assaulted, are being killed, are being targeted, are being basically erased from our history, I'm glad that Swimsuit Edition, that they came out, and Swimsuit, Illustrated came out and has the courage to put Kim on the cover.
Yeah.
I will say Kim Petras is a perfect example of somebody whose parents listened and doctor listened, and she's somebody who's made a very successful life for herself and underwent, those puberty blockers and the gender-affirming surgery. It's really good to have somebody that we can look towards and see as a prime example of why this is so important and why it shouldn't be discarded or overlooked.
Yeah, amen. That's what I was going to say, actually. I mean, I'll second that, in that you could see the success story here for a number of reasons. One, the appearance, but two, also her vocal range, because she was able to have, a transition so early in life. She maintains this high range that gives her the opportunity to be on a song with Sam Smith. Now, I'm in love with the fact that she, won the Grammy here, because she got so much backlash with this song. And one of my comments actually didn't go so well on Instagram, and I got a lot of hate mail in my DMs because I said, it's interesting how we're up in arms with this performance, but if Cardi B did it, if little Kim did it, you would be like, work, mama, this is amazing. But of course, a trans person does it and you're up in arms, and it's just very hypocritical. And so I'm glad she's getting kind of recognized. I'm glad Sports Illustrated is doing something like this, because they're putting their name now kind of on the chop block as well, such as Bud Light did. So we don't know what's going to happen to that brand. Hopefully, they prosper, and we'll see what happens thereafter. But it's kind of a scary moment, but I'm very, very happy about it.
Well, and as far as her voice goes, I think Sam Smith might have a higher voice than her.
Maybe.
Maybe.
If you guys didn't notice, I was referring to this magazine as Swimsuit Illustrated.
I know. I didn't want
to. Just so we're clear why I am, a subscriber. Okay.
Yeah. Well, a couple things I love about this story. First, she looks gorgeous.
Yes.
And yes, kudos to SI for putting her out there. Martha Stewart is also on
I know.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Of SI Swimsuit. So, big ups to Sports Illustrated for doing this. A couple things that I love. First, I think there might be a lot of people who get the issue and don't know that she's trans, and they're going to have their own crying game moment at home in bed one night, and they're going to be rednecks, and I'm going to laugh every moment of the way. Second of all, music industry always leads the way, it seems like, but more than Hollywood, more than New York productions. I believe the Grammys, the AMAs, the music industry leads. They gave us Motown, which was out of the big cities, and gave us soul from the heartland, which was amazing. And you remember 10 years ago or so, they had a mass wedding, a big marriage equality session, and a bunch of people got married in the California experience. That was years before marriage equality came to the entire country, and oh my God, people were upset about that. And oh, how can the children see this? Well, they saw it, and they're fine, and they've moved on. So to come out and do edgy performances, I'm 100% behind. Yeah, you're right. A lot of people haven't seen it, but it's good that they do see it.
I think there's a bigger issue, and I'm always an advocate for visibility, because, and I've said this before, if I had known at age 6, 7, and 8 that Dad Brady was gay, and Mr. the actor who played Dad Brady was gay, and the actor who played Mr. Sulu was gay, and the actor who played Macmillan of Macmillan and Wife was gay, I might not have had to go through the crap I had to go through. That, these kids, they've grown up watching Neil Patrick Harris on the TV. They've watched Jim Parsons on the TV. And all these other, celebrities who have come out as gay, they watched. I had to stop for a minute because I almost dead named somebody. They watched Elliot Page do his transition, and forgive me for having to stop to think about that, because I remember Elliot Page before the transition. But this is really important that, there's a little trans person out there who's going to see this, and they don't have a name for it yet, because I remember growing up not understanding what was going on in my brain before I had the name homosexual and or gay applied to it. This is going to, with all the crap going on, this is still going to save a lot of lives.
Absolutely. And not to age myself, but I grew up watching Neil Patrick Harris on television as well, and I always wanted to do it Doogie style.
Oh. Well, okay then.
All right. Pulled that one right out.
Wesley, that's on you.
Next, let's queer up health. Missouri AG Andrew Bailey overturns his own emergency rule blocking trans health care. Missouri officials abruptly terminated an unusual emergency rule proposed by the Republican Attorney General that would have placed limits on transgender care for some minors and some adults. The move was announced without explanation on the Missouri Secretary of State's website. The rule pushed by Attorney General Andrew Bailey would have required adults and children to undergo more than a year of therapy and fulfill other requirements before they could receive gender-affirming treatments such as puberty blockers, hormones, and surgery. Legal experts and transgender advocates have said the rule would have made Missouri the first state in the country to restrict gender-affirming care for adults and the first time to enact such restrictions through emergency rules rather than a new law. Bailey often spoke of the need to protect children from what he refers to as experimental treatment. But after announcing the rules, he said they were designed to protect all patients, regardless of their age. House Minority Leader Crystal Quaid, Democrat from Springfield, said in a statement that Missouri should not have an attorney general, quote, who persecutes innocent Missourians for political gain, end quote. Bailey had sought to implement the rule on April 27th, but the ACLU of Missouri filed a lawsuit to stop it, arguing that Bailey bypassed the legislator and did not have the authority to regulate health care through Missouri's consumer protection law. Well, again, like we mentioned, it doesn't stop at the kids, right? So, this seems to be the first grab at, you're an adult. And this is the party who constantly is talking about personal freedoms, yet they're ready to start burning books and tell you what you can do with your body, what you can do in your bedroom, what words you can use, what words you can say. I mean, it's just fascism. We need to just start calling it that, blatantly, openly.
Somebody correct my aging memory, but wasn't it Republicans who were screaming, the government shouldn't get between you and your doctor, about when the black guy was president? And I'm saying it that way for a reason.
Yeah.
I heard a long time ago, the Republicans are not the party of less government. They are the party of unless government. They only care for the rights of straight, white, cisgender men. You have rights unless you're a woman, unless you're gay, lesbian, trans, unless you're a person of color. I mean, the list can go on, but somebody take it away, because I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with all that. I'm just so tired of hearing it, because I don't know what else to do about it, because they don't care how hypocritical they are. They don't care that they don't care. You can call them anything.
Well, their supporters don't care, and that's what lets them run rampant with just all of the nonsense that they, constantly contradict themselves. One of the craziest things I ever heard was, Trump, when he was running, saying, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and I wouldn't lose a vote. That turned out to be true.
It's the truth.
Like, that is so scary.
But this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. It's not that this stuff doesn't frustrate me. You understand? It doesn't infuriate me. All right. It's not like it doesn't keep me up at night. Right. And it makes me question my neighbors and question the people that I'm sitting at the table with. No, it's not just that. It's the fact that, like you just said, we'll go ahead and echo it. We have to stop echoing their message. I'm so mad because you are against trans and you're trying to do, and so we're just basically giving them free marketing. You know what I mean? Sure. We're sitting there going and tweeting, oh, this guy, oh my God, that guy. And we're just retweeting their rhetoric and their just lies and all of it, and their hate and all of it. And what are we doing? Instead, we gotta shift our energy, guys. We have to shift our energy, and we have to focus strategically on how we're going to respond to this, but in a way that doesn't repeat what they're saying, because we don't need to respond to them, because that's defense. And we don't need to be in defense of ourselves. We simply need to be on the pushing the positive message of the LGBT, the stories, our celebrations, our wins, our heroes, and keep on putting those people in the face of the public, and use all of our access to get them in front of as many people as we can see. So we change the narrative, because that's what they do. They're controlling the narrative right now, because we're taking it and we're retweeting it.
Sure. Yeah. And you look at,
Josie.
CNN,
yeah, it's true.
And MSNBC, I find them to be just as responsible for, putting out Trump's rhetoric and, making it so readily available to so many people. And, you know, it is good for ratings. He is a clown. He will say whatever. And to be honest, most of us, whether you like him or not, are waiting to hear what that next thing is going to be. Because it could be stupid or awful, or, you know, you might be one of those people who see him as, you know, the next coming of Christ. But, you know, regardless of what it is, you know, we're providing the platform for them.
Yeah. You know, two things before we move on that makes me very happy about this story. One, this is a win for our trans brothers and sisters in the heart of the heartland. So that's great. And also it exposes the hypocrisy of the fascist Republican Party. This was an emergency rule. There's no emergency surrounding trans people that concerns Republicans. There's emergencies around the trans community because of the Republicans, but they're the ones who cause it. There's no emergency here. This law would have made doctors responsible for follow-up care until the patient was 45 years old. Wow. And then if any time they had a change of mind or said, oh, I don't like this or that, they could have come back to sue the doctor. And they set up an emergency page on, I believe it was the AG's website, for people to report their neighbors who they think are you know, getting or dealing in, you know, underground heroin. I'm sorry, I don't mean heroin. I mean hormone blockers. That's how they were treating this story. So this is a good win for us. Hopefully the legislature will just let this one die in the next session.
Next, let's queer up business. Trans accepting Starbucks ad in India sparks controversy. The coffee titan Starbucks finds itself in the eye of a tumultuous controversy in India as diverse voices clash head-on, debating the nature of the message the company tried to pass through its latest advertisement. The ad, intended to promote a message of acceptance, faced significant backlash with the hashtag Boycott Starbucks swiftly gaining traction on Twitter. In the ad, a transgender woman unites with her long-lost father in a vibrant and bustling Starbucks outlet. The advertisement shows the story of a woman named Arpit, now identifying as Arpita. Her father then proceeds to the cafe counter to order their coffee. Arpita is pleasantly surprised when the Starbucks barista announces 3 cold coffees for Arpita. This heartfelt moment reveals her father's acceptance as he chooses Arpita as the name to be written on the coffee cup. While many supported the ad and called it inspiring and refreshing, some were protesting the advertisement, saying Starbucks is trying to bring woke culture to India. Some said the company better focus on its business.
सुनो, इस बार गुस्सा मत होना प्लीज।
Thank you, Papa, for meeting me. I know बड़े साल बीत गए, लेकिन आप आज भी मेरे लिए सब कुछ हो।
कॉफी। तेरी आदतें नहीं बदली।
Free cold coffees for Arpita. Free cold coffees for Arpita.
बेटा, मेरे लिए तो आज भी मेरा बच्चा है। बस एक लेटर ही तो ऐड हुआ है तेरे नाम में।
Close the distance and the way. was with your
Just when I get ready to walk away from Starbucks for their anti-union crap, they go ahead and do something like this, make me run out, buy a coffee to support them. I would love them to run an ad like that here with, obviously, you know, American actors, but we all know, you know, do we really want Bud Light saying, "Hold my beer"? I thought it was a good joke.
I'm smiling.
Yeah,
it was cute. It was cute.
What were you looking for, a belly roll?
Yeah.
All right, so once again, I have to revert to my looks for laughs. Anyway, no, they would. You know, we saw with Bud Light the backlash they got from just putting a picture on a can, and you know, Starbucks runs an ad like this in the U.S. They'll burn down the stores.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, India is known to be quite phobic in that region as well. I mean, I know not a month ago they put a non-binary folk on Bride magazine, was it not? Where they dress in a beautiful wedding gown, and the backlash was pretty scary. I think people are gonna die over that, and I think people may die over this ad as well. It's a scary time. I don't know that I want that for India. I'm very happy that Starbucks is making kind of these leaps and bounds. But I do fear for our community. I do feel for our trans brothers and sisters, because stuff like this, instead of kind of like reaching the mass at where they are, we kind of always push the pedal to the metal so far that we create this wave of hatred and people just start getting hurt. So I don't know. I hate to bring the room down.
No, but know, listen, you're bringing up the point, okay? It's because when anything starts to become the transition, right? Yeah. When we as a society transform, right? We evolve. Through that evolution, you know, is that tough spot. Like, you just think about yourself, like in your life, whenever you have gone from one version of yourself to another, that transformation required maybe a little pain, a little uncomfort, right? And I think that we need these catalysts happening around the world and in our own country, like you said, and there's going to be the people at the front line, not to call them cannon fodder, because they're not, because we know that they're not cannon fodder, but maybe, you know, in the grand scheme of things, cannon fodder are the people who are willing to die for what we believe in. And I've said this a few times on the show, you've heard me say this, and I think never really in my I'm not even going to tell you guys, but it's never in my years, in my so many
You're
years,
timeless.
have I started to really feel that we have to revisit that question: are we willing to die for what we believe in? And the people before us who led the way, who paved the path, they allowed us this space and this freedom. And now we're back at that place. So who's going to step up and be willing to die for what we believe in?
Well, speaking of leading the way, you know, the United States has always been, you know, the first in so many different things, whether it be business or technology or just, you know, the world often looks at us, you know, as an example for so many things. And with us going backwards, a lot of countries are going to follow suit, you know, because we are kind of just that, you know, person that sets the, I don't want to say
standard.
Yeah, but, you know, it's really unfortunate. You know, we see so much progress happening in these other countries. And as we go backwards, we're seeing it happen in other countries as well.
Yeah, you know, one thing that I love I love so many things about this ad, but one I love is that it's not Pride-centric. This isn't, as we're coming up on Pride Month, and I know we're going to do a lot of stories here, rainbow capitalism. You know, the advertisers that come to us in late May through June and want our dollars and then forget about us until late May and June of next year. So I love that this isn't tied into that. This is just an ad that it's 2 minutes. It's a beautiful story. It's 2 minutes long, so it's probably airing mostly on as a YouTube ad or web ads, because you don't most Starbucks ads on
Or
television.
you can skip it after 15 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. But I love that it's not that though. This is just a good ad. I know McDonald's in Italy did a gay kid having fries with his dad a few years ago. They did the ad, and to your point, I think that we have to put ourselves out there at some point. You know, I'm old enough to remember, Bob. I know you're old enough to remember when Absolute Vodka first started advertising in Out magazine and on the back cover of Advocate. And oh my God, people lost their collective minds. But they did it. They took their shot. And there's still, you know, and then they didn't lose the gay community. Other vodkas followed. You know, Stoli, you know, go to a Pride and don't find a Stoli booth. You know, it's just going to be there. So they follow us. I think these ads are really important. And I'm glad whenever, you know, Starbucks, Bud Light, Absolute Vodka, whenever they put themselves out there, it does more good than harm in the long run. So I'm really, this warms my heart.
Well, you know, people boycotting Starbucks could be good for small businesses. Mom and pop coffee shops. No, just joking.
Listen, the mom and pop coffee shops always get it because those are the best places anyways,
definitely.
right?
Love you, Storks.
Yeah. Well, so next, we are proud of our special partnership here with the Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Well, we finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
Let's do it. LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Gay South Florida couple claims waste management avoids their house due to rainbow flag.
A pride flag, red, yellow, blue, green, orange, and purple, flying high in Tom Schultz and Eric Baumbach's front yard.
And we try to focus on happiness.
The flag, they told me, represents the love they have for each other and their community.
I am very proud of my gay family.
But the couple told me the flag is the reason they think they experienced hate at the hands of a waste management truck driver last Wednesday.
I had yard waste that was bundled up and the correct size.
Eric and Tom placed their waste in the yard for pickup, they say, exactly as instructed by Waste Management. As for what happened next, check out this TikTok video recorded and posted by the couple.
We watched the driver get out and rip the bundles apart and leave us a violation notice. The driver's assistant directed me to put the debris in the truck, so I picked up the destroyed bundles and tried to put them in the yard waste truck, but the driver sped off and abandoned his co-worker at my house. After the yard waste was in the truck, the driver got out and removed my yard waste from the truck and dumped the debris on a neighboring vacant lot. You can see here the driver getting out and doing what I describe, dumping debris from his truck onto the lawn.
Claims of discrimination are being aimed at Waste Management on Marco Island after a gay couple, Tom Schultz and Eric Baumbach, recorded a video of workers refusing to take their yard waste and even taking it out of the truck and throwing it on someone else's yard instead. A pride flag waves high above the couple's front yard. According to Schultz and Baumbach, the flag represents their love for each other and their community. The couple said they put their waste in the yard for pickup, precisely the instructions Waste Management tells people to follow, and yet they faced discrimination. Waste Management set a statement after the video got viral saying it does not discriminate and the matter will be reviewed.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Måneskin bassist discusses being a queer woman in conservative Italy. Ever since taking the Eurovision Song Contest by storm in the Netherlands in 2021, rock band Måneskin has brought joy to fans everywhere through their fiery third studio album, Rush, and their defiant displays of queerness. However, things haven't always been easy for the queer members of the band and for the bassist, Victoria De Angelis, in particular. While talking to The Big Issue, the musician has revealed that she was made to feel, quote, uncomfortable when openly dating women in her home country of Italy. De Angelis shared her view that many people in Italy still think homosexuality is wrong. Last year, the country voted Giorgia Meloni, the country's first far-right prime minister, into office. Meloni has frequently resorted to anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up the worldview. China anti-LGBTQ plus sentiment grows. Beijing LGBT Center shuts down. An advocacy group named Beijing LGBT Center, which also served as a safe space for the LGBTQ plus community in Beijing, became the latest organization to close under a crackdown by Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Its shuttering marks a critical blow for advocacy groups that once had been able to be out in public about their work for LGBTQ plus rights. After Xi came to power about 8 years ago, he limited the scope available for these centers, and that has shrunk even further. The well-known group called LGBT Rights Advocacy China, which brought strategic lawsuits to push for policy change and expand rights, also got closed down by the government in 2021.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up the worldview. An historic ruling, Namibia. How do we do it? Namibia, pardon me. Supreme Court says government must recognize foreign same-sex marriages. Do we have video?
I think the fact that the word spouse is now being recognized as what it was intended, that any foreign spouse to any Namibian, irrespective of your sexuality, is going to be recognized. And I think it's going to have such, like, they always say a rolling stone gathers no moss. And that's what we're hoping for. We won the first battle, and I think that's a very, very good indication of where we are heading.
We are only asking for the extension of inclusion towards our communities to be able to live happy, full lives as anybody else in Namibia. Today, I'm proud to be Namibian. I'm proud to be standing here. I'm proud to say that Namibia, I'm proud.
A landmark ruling the Supreme Court of Namibia issued on Tuesday said that same-sex marriages conducted outside the southern African country should be recognized by the Namibian government. The court ruled that the Home Affairs and Immigration Ministry's refusal to recognize same-sex marriages validity concluded outside of Namibia violates the constitutional rights of the affected parties. With this ruling, 2 same-sex couples have emerged victorious in their fight for the recognition of their marriages conducted outside of Namibia. The joint cases initially brought before the court in March involved a South African national who is married to a Namibian citizen, and also separately German national who is married to a Namibian citizen. Both couples expressed relief following the ruling, and I do apologize for laughing at something that is not meant to be funny. I've been, in rehearsal, I've been tripping over these words as well.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up sports. France presents Rugby is My Pride to stand with LGBTQ plus as they host the Rugby World Cup. To mark the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia, France 2023 presented its Rugby is My Pride program to fight against all forms of LGBTQ+ discrimination during the Rugby World Cup France 2023. With the support of World Rugby, the French government, the FFR, and the LNR, the France 2023 Organizing Committee has built a program centered towards the values of solidarity and team spirit and embodied by the practice of rugby. 4 vital and symbolic moments are announced to make this project come to life, such as Paris Gay Pride, Pride Respect Cup, and a symposium to discuss free will in rugby. The tournament will take place from September 8th to October 28th this year. That is today's news for the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family, Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ+ news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm John Hayden, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of the very happy anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Chef Josie, Jonathan Casañas, Wesley Smoot, Bob Hentschel. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ+ world, including Namibia, we wish you good night.
Good night.
Good night.
LGBTQ+ news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Shawn, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ+